Okay. Um, hmm. Today we'll be looking at strategic planning, tactics that we could be using to develop our marketing plans. Remember, we're trying to be very kind of specific in what it is we're targeting with these plans. So that's up for you to decide. In the sense of, are you trying to bring more awareness to a certain product for these organizations, say for Sergio's and Johnny's? Or do you think that you can increase sales by bringing more awareness just with advertising more of Johnny's beef? Do you think that your plan is to maybe get feedback of potential price change for some of the items? Maybe you want to introduce a new product for Sergio's and Johnny's, right? You have to be very specific. You got to have an objective or objectives. It could be multiple things. So that we can kind of measure things out later and see if they have any results. Now, obviously, we can't have the time to see what the results are, but potentially, if you were to maybe use social media of some sort, you could actually yield some results. We could see something measurable, right? Whether it's the number of views, likes, shares, something that could be quantified that you could present, right? And this is if you actually approach Sergio and Johnny's about developing an ad campaign for them, right? A plan. But here we're going to look at some models on ways we can go about finding strategies that can yield us some sort of results depending on what our objectives and goals are. We'll also take a look at Coca-Cola's sort of strategy and marketing plan, as well as some other things. So here's my first question to you. What do you think so far, just from your conversations with your group members, are going to be some of your objectives with these plans? Like, what are you thinking when you have conversations with each other? Are you thinking like, oh, you know what, Sergio's, I don't know, we're going to change the menu, right? Bring more awareness to the pizza. Johnny's, we're going to talk about making a third store because there is a second one. Something of the sort. Have you discussed with your group members any of it? Potentially some objectives or goals? Suggest?
I feel like Johnny says like a lot of things right, at least for what they are. I want
Mm-hmm.
to keep a lot of that in place, but maybe bring some of it to today's day and age, whether that's social marketing, accepting different forms of payment.
Okay. So you're like, well, you know what? Johnny's does a ton of stuff great. There's no need to change, right? No change of beef or anything like that. But you're saying, hey, you know what? Payment could be good. What else did you say?
Social media presence.
Oh, social media. Like, hey, you know, people know about you, but it's usually word of mouth. Um, Anything else?
Um, Possibly like a remodel. Want to keep like the same Johnny's kind of old school vibe,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe with a little more room and ability to do things in the same building.
Like, hey, you know what? People are used to this aesthetic for Johnny's. It's nostalgic. It's a throwback, right? But at the same time, it doesn't conform to the amount of space of traffic that comes through. People can't really, you can't sit, right? Maybe sit somewhere outside, but then I don't know. So even consideration, like, well, the people like just standing outside and talking. Because when I drive past, I see like the police officers hanging, just randomly talking to people. So I don't know if that's also like
I feel like that's part of like the experience for
the
Johnny's.
experience, right? But then you kind of like, well, that still has a limitation, right? It still might have a cap, right? And how do you go beyond the cap? So it's something you have to discuss, right? And you will need some really good, what's going to be the tactics for this, you know? I don't know, because you have to think of the pros and cons of each. Sergio's, just from your conversations with each other, what have you been discussing in terms of potential objectives or goals?
We kind of mentioned from ideas on our items, we have to probably talk to them to see what they need from sell, see if we can get rid of this stuff.
All right. So you say, hey, a menu change of some sort, potentially adding or subtracting from the menu. Yeah. And so really, you think about it. So they have breakfast. Do they have lunch and dinner or no? It's like, is it a different menu or no? No. It's just already like it's always up there at breakfast and then regular food or something. Right. And so maybe you could break it up into two tiers. You're like, well, we examined breakfast. Look at your traffic coming through, and breakfast doesn't, your breakfast menu doesn't really align with your dinner menu or something like that, right? What could be missing from breakfast? That could be an opportunity. Okay, so menu change. Anything else potentially? I mean, you feel that people are aware enough of Sergio's? How else could they bring more awareness to either certain products, the service, or the store itself? All right, so they say, all right, Sergio needs more awareness. All right, word of mouth is fine, but it's very limiting. We live in a digital age, right? So maybe something potentially digital. It may be not, maybe even more, right? You're like, well, it's located by some schools. Northside College Prep, right? Northeastern University, huge. North Park University, huge. Von Steuben. You got Von Steuben, North Park University, Northeastern University, and Northside College Prep. Uh, that's really good, right? That's a really good location. And maybe they're not capitalizing on it. So you have to figure out some sort of triangulation strategy to advertise. And then also coming up with some tactics. Who's going to get what off? What percentage you'll get off, what deals you could get. Are you going to get something free? Is Sergio's handing out samples so that people can test and try? All sorts of tactics that we could think of. All right, strategic planning, right? We say, hey, we're being strategists here. Strategist is being very mindful of the decisions that we're going to make, right? The choices that we choose, because it all costs money, right? Costs money, so we got to optimize. And maybe Johnny and Sergio's don't have a big budget to advertise, but maybe we get creative, right? So we want to explain what this is in terms of using the marketing plan. But think of an ad campaign as something very tailored and specific to your objectives for something, right? And we want to tailor that plan so that it makes sense to the owners and also to everyone else who will be able to see it. So detailed to tactical or bottom up approach favored by smaller businesses. We'll talk about what bottom up sort of modeling is, all right? Sort of funneling, like a funnel. Differentiate between the IMC planning approach from the tactics. Describe important components of the plan, and IMC budgets are how they are determined, right? How we're going to determine the budgets. So that's going to be a significant part of your plan. It's like, hey, your budget, right? Where's this money going to go exactly? How much is going to go here? How much is going to go there? How much could be afforded? And why did you choose that? All right, so we say our plans, right? Written. It's a guide. It's a guide to something that we are trying to achieve for product, service, or organization. All right, so we're looking for the present and future marketing activities of the organization. So it promotes the messages in the marketing mix. Right? Say the marketing mix is all the 4 P's, right? What are the messages with price? What are the messages with your promotions? What are the messages about the location, right? Even more so about the location where the actual ad locations will be themselves too. Better implementation, control, and continuity of campaigns, which is good, right? We can alter things, edit things as we go along, right? But it gives us a good sort of trail. And guides allocation of marketing dollars. So think about you're a marketer, you're actually showing up to Sergio's and Johnny's, you're sitting down with the owners, and you're presenting this plan. First thing comes to mind is, hey, how much is this going to cost? Right? But it got to make sense. You can't just be like, hey, Johnny's and Sergio, I think you should go on Instagram and put something up. Right? Great. How much is it going to cost and how effective is that going to be? Well, you could look at maybe other small food chains, right? Single store, multiple store food chains, and see how effective some of theirs are. There's research out there that you could kind of support, your information. But you want to have a good mix. Like, well, you know what? Okay, we can have 25% of your dollars go to Google Ads. Maybe we'll say 35% can go to promotions on TikToks. Like maybe there's a small commercial we can make to go on TikTok. Maybe we'll use someone who's an influencer of some kind. Instagram, maybe some flyers in the neighborhood. Flyers all spread out through the universities in the neighborhood. Maybe there's a billboard, mix it up, but it has to sort of make sense. And even if we're talking billboards and flyers, what's the type of average traffic that would actually view that advertising, right? Data you could get there too. Remember we said we could always use these secondary sources of research to say like, hey, these are amount of traffic that pass through from North Avenue in Harlem, right? That's going east and west on Harlem Avenue daily. So if we had some sort of sign, these are the type of impressions, the amount of impressions that one would see. All right, mission statement, which is important, right? Short description. The purpose and philosophy. Remember, I think we saw some of the mission statements are very brief, right? Some of them. What's somebody Google Coca-Cola's mission statement for me?
Refresh the world and make a difference.
Right? We say, well, short because it's a philosophy, it's an idea. And a company so big as Coca-Cola, probably the larger the company, what you find is the smaller mission statement, right? Because they have so much of an exposure that it's hard to kind of pinpoint exactly who they are as an organization. So for Johnny's or Sergio's, is their mission statement. And if there's not, what do you think it would be if you were to create it for Johnny or Sergio's? Off the top of your head, think of something. Bless you. All right, think Johnny's. We just get creative. Hey, to provide the best Italian beef in the Chicagoland area in a nostalgic environment. That could be it. That could be it. Or you can replace beef with food. You say, well, the fries are good too, so we can't say beef. But the thing is, think about it, right? You have to kind of think, what is the philosophy of the organizations there? Like, what is the purpose of being there? Funny enough, a lot of owners don't even know. They don't have a true philosophy. They're kind of just winging it, right? You set up some stands, you put up a menu. You originally come with a concept and be like, man, hey, grandma used to make the best Italian beef. Like, what was the secret? Oh man, she would do this, this, and that. We should open up a store and do it. I'm like, all right, great. People show up for Italian beef. It worked, right? Doesn't work for everybody because it used to be Italian beef places a dime a dozen. A lot of them went away because competition, Bona Beef and Portillo's, right? You say, well, why is that an issue? Well, they standardized the product, which means that they made the waiting time shorter. They perfected the actual product. It's going to taste the same each time you go. You get it very quickly. And other places, not so much because they don't have that type of money. So the competition is big. But Johnny's is one in whatever, one in a few, right? One in a few that you can find. It should be aspirational and inspirational, just as we saw with Coca-Cola, right? You're like, wow, that sounds pretty inspirational, Coca-Cola. You didn't mention anything about soda. Well, we're beyond soda at this point, right? And think of your own organizations. Think of something inspirational. Google's mission statement: to organize world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. This to me is perfect. This is exactly what I use Google for, right? I need information, I need it accessible, and it's going to be useful. It helps me to find useful information. Next, we have a situation analysis, which is description of the brand's current marketing situation, right? What is the current marketing situation? Meaning that we could use to say, hey, what is good in terms of your marketing here? Sergio's, Johnny, what do you do well? I don't know. What do they do well in terms of marketing? No, I don't know. So with Sergio's, you've eaten there, right? Okay. Is the food good? So you haven't tried since he bought it. You bought food before he bought it. And do you know if he changed the recipes or any kind? Okay. So that's something to find out, right? You gotta find that information. Hey, purchase from a previous owner. Find out the story. Hey, why did the previous owner sell it? Did they sell it because business was not good, a failed business? If it failed and they still have the same exact menu, why do you have the same exact menu from a failing business? If it did not fail, maybe the person retired or something, what was done well, right? Previously. But figure out what the situation is now. What do they do well now? What do they do poorly now? And that's why I think you all, you definitely have to go eat there. I may go check it out. I mean, I go to Johnny's all the time, so I already know that. But I'll go check out Sergio's once. Maybe I'll take some pictures or video and capture my experience to show you how I feel about it. But yeah, the more information, go and take notes. Go through the front door, take notes. Look at the environment, take notes. What is the experience from beginning as a consumer to the end after you finish eating? And say, whoa, just like you would with a Yelp review. You're like, man, they were slow. I don't know if this was just a bad day or something, but this is your experience. I couldn't choose between this, and that. It was too many things. I got confused about the menu, right? Think of those things so that you can plot out, hey, what are the strengths and what are the weaknesses, right? Opportunities and threats are external. So we say strengths and weaknesses are internal elements. Internal could be like, hey, the money. They don't have enough money to make an excellent product. They don't have enough money to make a great experience. Poor management, internal, right? Poor product, wait times, right? External things can be, hey, they're just located in a bad spot, right? Bad location. No one can see them. If you drive down Harlem Avenue, opposite the side of Johnny's and Panera and all of that, there's so many trees lined up that you can't see the sign of any of those locations. So if you just cross the street, go look, and you're like, whoa, there's so many like closed businesses, whether it's like former dental offices, little private law firms, little boutique shops. No one walks on that side of the street, it seems like. And you're like, well, that's pretty detailed information to know. Like literally just if you cross the street, the trees itself, so if I own a business there, I would probably work with the alderman and be like, hey, we got to prune these trees or something. No one can even see the name of the business. And you're talking about that's a lot of traffic to miss out on a sign. But on the opposite side, that's where all the stores are located. Walgreens, Panera, Johnny's, gas station, all that. They're all on the north side of the street. So something like that could be incredibly big as an external factor, environmental factors, right? Things on the outside that impact the business. For those of you who showed up, we're talking about marketing strategy and planning, like the tactics that we will use to attack in your plans, right? Different strategies and how detailed it's going to be. Objectives have to be clearly defined, right? Awareness, price, whatever it is you choose to campaign for, right? Because you're campaigning for something. You're not campaigning for the entire sort of smorgasbord of Johnny's. You have to find something specific. And then Thursday, I want you all to all come up here and tell me where you are. So maybe have some more in-depth conversations about your plans, from now till